Hi there, Taylor Himnes here from 41 Action News with another episode of Faith in KC. Taking the opportunity to get outside on my front porch and record today when the rain stopped for at least a little while, and I wanted to step outside for a little bit. Hopefully my dog Bruce, who's sleeping right there behind the door, he follows me everywhere, that's why he's there, will not see anything to bark at while I'm recording this and freak out. You may not like this episode. I realize that is a confrontational way to start, and I do not mean for it to be confrontational in any way. But you may not like this episode. I want to talk about the why first, and really the why I know. I grew up in a very conservative Church of Christ setting. I've talked about that on every episode. So I know, and not that it's just conservative Church of Christ situations that match this description, but I know how defensive people can be about their religion and about their faith, and I think that's in a lot of ways okay. It's something that is very personal, very dear to us. It's one of those things that you have to be prepared. You know, the joke about you don't talk about religion and politics over the Thanksgiving table, and there's a reason for that, because people defend it very strongly sometimes, too strongly sometimes. So, there are going to be some things said in this episode that will make you want to say, hold on, no, I don't believe that. Okay? I've made clear, I hope I've made clear in all these episodes, that my goal through any of these is not to necessarily bring anyone to faith. It's definitely not to convert anyone to mine or any other faith. The goal of this is to talk about faith in KC, faith in Kansas City, and the different ways that is defined. And this is a new one today. I think most of these episodes, for lack of a better term, have been a little bit safe. Most of them, I've interviewed a rabbi and an imam, but most of them have fit into a Christian situation, and that's where I'm comfortable. That's safe, and I think there's a certain element, maybe even a larger element of our faith, it's not supposed to be a safe situation. It's supposed to be challenged, it's supposed to be sharpened, it's supposed to be shared and prepared to defend, maybe passionately, maybe compassionately. So, here's my ask, here's my request as you watch this, because I know this is going to go on Facebook and I'm already prepared for the comments. Please do not comment negatively unless you watch the whole episode. That's my only ask. If you watch this entire episode, you can say whatever you want to say. But I want to trust that if I see a negative comment on the bottom of these episodes, it's because you watched the whole thing and you still want to say that. Okay. My guest today is Reverend Rose Schwab. She's the minister at Shawnee Mission Unitarian Universalist Church. She could not have been more gracious in her time with me. Her church is similar to mine in a lot of ways, maybe to yours in a lot of ways, and different in a lot of ways. Not least of which being they are very open about the fact that they're a LGBTQ friendly congregation. Reverend Rose is gay, and we talk about that. And just that topic, I know, is going to set some people off right here. I have a feeling, we didn't talk about this necessarily, but I have a feeling as Reverend Rose watches this that she knew what kind of comments could come from this the moment she said yes to talk to me, because she's probably heard a lot of them before or read a lot of them before. And that's just brave, no matter what you believe, knowing that sharing something that is close to you and personal to you and important to you is going to draw strong negativity is just brave, period. And I applaud her for that. So please listen with an open mind and an open heart, and know that I'm not trying to talk you into or out of anything. All I'm trying to do, we're trying to do with this series, is to tell you about how faith is being used in people's lives right here in our neighborhood, right here in our community. And I think that's important, to be aware of how people worship around you. You don't have to agree, you don't have to disagree, but being aware of what's important to people around you, I think, is a pretty vital thing to community building. As always, you can find me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Look me up there, leave your comments under those guidelines I asked earlier. Please tell me what you think, tell me who else I should talk to next. Email me at taylor.himnes@kshb.com. But I really hope you enjoy this, and I hope you come away just with an awareness maybe that you didn't have before. That's my hope and my prayer as you watch this. Thanks. So I'm joined today by Reverend Rose Schwab from Shawnee Mission Unitarian Universalist Church. I told her before we started that was the only thing I wrote down on my Post-it notes so I could be sure and say it correctly. Unitarian Universalist Church. I didn't want to get it backwards. Reverend Rose, thanks for your time today. Thanks for hanging out for a little while.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
I want to start with this because I was reading about your church on the website, and there's a link on your website to learning more about the church on a global basis. And I was reading there's only about 250,000 members worldwide. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So how would you describe a Unitarian Universalist church to someone, of the many people who may not be familiar with that? How do you describe the church to someone?
We believe that each person is privileged to their own truth. So in that way, we're like a deeds, not creeds church. So we don't all share the same theological views or the same language for our spiritual lives. But we do believe in a shared set of ethics that we call our principles. And they're about the inherent worth and dignity of every person. They're about the democratic process, the interdependent web of all life. So we come around each other with the desire to be in a theologically diverse setting, feeling that that's kind of one of the joys of being a spiritual person, is learning and being with other people.
Were you raised in this faith background, or were you raised with a different kind of faith background? No faith at all? How was your faith experiences as a child and growing up?
I was raised in the UU church.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was, my wife likes to say I was a lamb to the slaughter, that I was just raised by really devoted. My dad was a really devoted lay leader. He directed a church family camp. And when I was 12, I was like, I'm going to be a minister. And then it was just whoop, here you go. So yeah, it's definitely in my DNA.
Do you find that most people, and I guess a better question to start with, is yours the only UU church in the Kansas City area?
No, it's not. So the other church is called All Souls, and it's on the plaza near the Nelson. And then there's a fellowship, which is called the Gaia Community on Troost. We have a history of fellowships, which are lay-led congregations. So they don't have a minister, and they do it kind of more from the ground up.
Is that the situation your dad was in? When you say lay-led, is that what he did, or he was an actual minister?
Well, I think he would have liked to become a minister. I mean, if you think about all of us with our parents and how we fulfill or do not fulfill their dreams.
Right.
He was a camp director. So in that way, he had a leadership role. But he was not, we went to fellowships, but he was not a leader in a fellowship. He like was the director of this camp and oversaw everything at the camp and everything.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you find that, I asked that question about there being one church in the area because I was curious about this. Do you find that most of the people that attend your church and the churches in that same faith in the area were raised in this church like you were, or they came to it later in life? What do you find is the most average situation for someone that goes to UU church?
That is a very good question. Thank you for asking it. Most people in this area were not raised in the church. Most people come to us because they have been burned in some way by more mainline Protestant Christianity and are wanting to find a church and spiritual home that is less creedal.
Okay.
Many ways, our worship service looks Protestant in that I wear a robe and, we have a liturgy and we sing hymns, but we rewrote a lot of the hymns.
Okay.
So sometimes people will come, and to us, that's just what we think the hymn is, but people will come and they'll be like, wow, I love this tune, but the words are different. We're humanists. And so oftentimes that means that we believe that no matter what your theology, we all believe that humans have the capacity to do incredible good in the world, and that we place a lot of agency in the people and in the beloved community. And so oftentimes we will replace, sometimes that's kind of the theological leaning of the hymns. But the difference, Unitarian Universalism branched off of is the branch of the Christian tree. But I think we're just a little bit different in that we really value reason, and we really value the freedom of language and spiritual search, which I think a lot of mainline Christian churches do as well. We're like the far left Protestants, if that makes sense. We're we're way over here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. In the interest of full disclosure for viewers that are watching, this is the first conversation Reverend Rose and I have had besides a phone call just to set up this conversation. So we had never met. We don't know each other well. Reverend, I attend a Church of Christ. I was raised in a Church of Christ. My family and I go to a Church of Christ here. And I was raised in a very conservative one. If there is such a thing as an even more conservative Church of Christ. I was raised in a small town. We had about 85 people there on a regular basis. Very, very conservative Church of Christ situation. So I'm really interested to ask you this question, and maybe among any other question I wanted to ask you today. You referenced that people sometimes come to UU Church because they've been burned by another church situation. Can you describe, obviously without being too detailed about a person's story, but what are the types of burns you hear about when people come to UU Church that they may have experienced someplace else?
Mm-hmm. There are a lot of people who are raised Catholic, and I think people speak about just not being able to say the creed in faith. People talk about that kind of spiritual dissonance that they feel. And usually there's a period of not knowing where you would want to go, and then kind of finding out about Unitarian Universalism. So there's that. There are people who were an LGBTQ affirming church, and so many people were, made unwelcome in the church of their origin. Yeah. I think the one I hear most about are Catholics. Okay. I think that's a pretty strong, I hear people be like, oh my gosh, I was raised Catholic. Oh, I was raised Catholic. Yeah. And so I'm not really sure their stories, but I think it does have to do with that personal spiritual integrity, and then wanting to find a place where your free and responsible search for truth and meaning is really valued, that you can go somewhere and try on a word or try on a type of spirituality that feels more authentic.
I think any church of any faith, one of the basic tenets of what they're trying to be, I would assume, is a refuge of some sort, from fill in the blank, but attempting to be a refuge. Do you feel pressure is not the right word, but it's the only one I can think of. Do you feel extra pressure in that for some cases of people that come to your church, you might be a refuge from bad religious experiences? Like, do you feel that whenever you meet new people that tell you those kind of stories?
I do. I'm always very careful. I mean, it's funny to be a preacher when we don't have a shared language for God. I don't even necessarily use the word God.
Okay.
And when I do, I really am very careful and thoughtful about how I use it, because I think that, so I was raised without the word God. And for me, but I'm a very devoted, deeply spiritual person. And part of the reason why I think I was raised without the word God is because of, humanism and like kind of a backlash to that sense of being put upon by creeds. So I think in some way I was raised just without that word. And I'm grateful because I feel that I was able to develop language and images that are really my own. And I've also felt really free. And now, because of the way I was raised with a real reaction to Christian language, I went to a Christian seminary because I felt like I need to kind of get what's going on here. And that was a really beautiful, like coming home experience in some way, because I feel like we are all steeped in Western theology. We all have, we all know who Jesus is. We all know who these stories in the Bible are, even though I was not raised with the Bible. And so it was helpful for me. And a lot of what I like to do now, in terms of remembering that there are so many refugees, is I like to read Bible stories in a way that I know is different than what people were taught. So,
what do you mean by that?
I do a lot of biblical work. I think that it's really important to retell those stories in a way that opens people's minds to them, because it is in my experience, people become very invested, and churches can become very invested in a real, I don't really know, a real shared understanding of who Jesus was or what these stories meant.
Right.
And I think that they can mean so much more. I mean, just going in and doing the exegesis, which is reading the text in a different language repeatedly or letting things get into you. I just, for example, I read the Hebrew scriptures to be a lot about land use. Okay. And how people should relate to the land and how people should relate to each other. And I don't find a vengeful God there in the same way that I'm told many people find it. So I also see a lot of information about women in the Bible. I see a lot of information about where and with whom power lies. In some of the most fundamental stories, for example, we all learn about, I didn't really, because I wasn't raised that way, but Abraham is this very important figure.
Sure.
But I don't think very many people in mainline Christianity learn that he's also the father of Islam.
Right.
And so just stories like that, exploring Ishmael and exploring Hagar, who is Ishmael's mother, and all those situations. So finding that kind of stuff in the Hebrew scriptures, I love, and I think that's really powerful. And then in the New Testament, well, I should have said this first about Unitarians. We believe that Jesus was human.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the fundamental part about.
Yeah, you buried the lead a little bit there.
There's just so much to talk about. So we're Unitarians as opposed to Trinitarians.
Okay.
So we don't believe that
Father, Son, Holy Spirit kind of situation.
Right. Okay. So when the printing press happened and everybody could suddenly read the Bible, and that was the Reformation. That's when all that happened in the 16th century or whatever.
Yeah.
We read the Bible and we're like, we don't see any mention of this in here. We don't see the Trinity in here. And we read the Bible as, well, it came to now we really find a lot of good news in the concept that Jesus was human and that he was so powerful and such a thoughtful, interesting person who was able to make an incredible mark. And all of the people that went into that situation. I really love to preach about Jesus and like really embellish the story in ways that is like setting him up and describing him in ways that are really humanizing. I think we don't often do a lot of thinking about his characteristics or his laugh or his physical movements or like the silly little things he did, so I try to do a lot of that reworking of the Bible because I think it's fundamental for people who, well, for all of us who live in Western society, and especially for people who are spiritual refugees. I think that touches so deeply.
Okay, so I have two logistics questions, and I promise this entire conversation is not going to be about, well, explain this to me. Like it's not going to be that kind of thing, I promise. But I have two logistics questions based on what you just said. One, you mentioned that you are very careful about the use of the word God in church. I'm curious about what a prayer looks and sounds like whenever you're conducting a prayer, leading a prayer in the UU church. And two, if the thought that Jesus was human, how do you address the miracles that are referenced in the Bible that he performed? Are they just considered to be stories? Those are the two, coming from where I'm coming from, those are the two that maybe give me the most pause about what you just described, that I would have difficulty stepping immediately into. So could you tackle those two for me?
Yes. So I do a lot of meditations. I do a lot of like breathing exercises and a lot of like visualizations of stuff. So in Buddhism, there's something called loving kindness meditation, where you actively do compassion building exercises. And I think that achieves a lot of the prayer stuff in that you can do loving kindness meditation for anything. So let's say I was like, I'm going to do loving kindness meditation for Taylor. I would close my eyes, get into my meditative state, which you do with music. You could do I could start it by saying something like, Spirit of peacefulness, be with us, come in, Spirit of love, things like that. And then I might instruct people, let's say the whole congregation is going to do loving kindness meditation for you. I would instruct everyone we would do some embodiment stuff, breathing. And then I might say, envision Taylor's face in front of you, envision him smiling. And then we might say, like, may you be free from suffering, may you be free from harm, may you be free. And then sometimes we'll do it like, may we be free from suffering. Sometimes you can do it for yourself or send yourself a well wish or a prayer or a good thought. I think to just be able to send out the thing that you're struggling with, or even start to create that sense of like an ask or what you're seeking even.
Okay. That makes sense. Yes. Okay. That does make sense. Because I'm wondering, and I hope you'll forgive me that I wonder, as I record these conversations, obviously what people that I go to church with are gonna think if they listen to this, what people that are members of a typical faith body that you were describing earlier are going to think. So I think about those kind of questions, but it honestly, what you just described does not sound a whole lot different than a congregational prayer. Whereas a congregational prayer that I'm used to might begin with, Heavenly Father or Lord God, or however you're going to start that prayer, and praying to a God or God in the way we see it, the actual process of it, what you're describing, is not a whole lot different, of praying and hoping that something will occur for someone else, and or will be taken away from someone else, or a feeling of peace or hope, like you're describing, will come upon. It doesn't. If you pause and take a breath, it doesn't sound that much different than what I'm used to. So yeah, that makes sense. Now the Jesus miracles part, tackle that for me.
Well, yeah, that's the thing that I think, like the spiritual mechanics of like loving kindness meditation, or a prayer that's to, wherever you want to put your big burden. The things of it, I feel, are very similar, unless it is like fundamental that Jesus be in the worship service.
Right.
Like for many people, like we didn't really start until we talked about Jesus, because that's the main event.
Well, I mean, and to that point too, like I was raised in a situation, and when I end a prayer, in Christ's name I pray, and going through the name of Jesus, anytime I go to God, that's who I'm going through. So absolutely, that's a huge point of differentiation.
Totally. And like those, Jesus as like a God, and Jesus as like a mantra, and all that stuff is so beautiful. And like, I don't feel any which way about other people feeling that Jesus is their way and the way. I mean, I think that's, I think a lot of people have really, really profound relationships with saints and all sorts of deities. And I just think it's a really profound spiritual path.
Yeah.
Okay. So the miracles, I think we would all feel a little bit differently about them. Like, I think I can't really speak for how other people in the church would see them. I bet that most UUs feel that they're stories that have like very deep poetic meaning, and are like interesting,
maybe representative of something else potentially.
Totally. Yeah. And like, for example, here's an example of how I might tell the story of the manna, is that if you think about there being a time when 5,000 people were gathered, and Jesus and like 2 or 3 other people were like trying to figure out how to feed them with the loaves and fishes.
Right.
And the way I would tell that story, and the way that I go to the text, and the way that I read the text, is that one person was like, you know what? I can give this little bit of bread that I have. And then the next person was like, okay, I have a little bit of bread. I have a little bit of fish. I have a little bit of cheese. And that this kind of wave or movement of solidarity swept throughout the people, and they were able to create like a sort of stone soup. And that is a miracle as far as I'm concerned, like people's hearts and minds being changed.
Yeah.
People up to each other, people breaking bread, people having communion, people sharing. So that's how I would understand that miracle. Does that make sense?
Yes,
and
it does.
It feels like, to me, like a real, like that's the fundamental good news of the church. And that's what we're trying to tell people we're going for, we're going for the beloved community. And that takes something. That means that, and in that there's like that sense that like we as humans, like we really have to work at it. We really have to do it. And, that we have like a really important part to play. Without us, the arc of the universe isn't going to bend towards justice. It's not going to happen unless we add our weight and we put our food in, so.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Obviously we don't talk a lot. I say we, a news organization, local news organization, does not talk about faith a whole lot. And part of the reason, one of the primary reasons, I've talked about this before, that we started this series is because the last year clearly was just awful. And many, many people have reevaluated, restacked, fill in the blank over the last 12 months with something in their lives. Add to that the sheer fact that some type of faith community is a central part of life for so many people. And it just didn't make sense to us to not go, we should talk about this a little bit. That's what the impetus for this series was. So I'm curious about, for the UU Church where you attend and where you lead, what the last year has been like. Have you had people, we've talked about refugees, for lack of a better word, that have come from other church situations. Have you had people that have come in and sat down and said, that are not from another faith community, were not burned by another faith situation, that walked in and said, I got to try something else. I have to do something because I don't recognize my life anymore. Have you had that? You're shaking your head. I'm guessing that you have had that situation happen to you in the last year.
Yeah, there are a lot of people who are either seeking and finding us, or are like coming out of the woodwork. People who, have been members for 15 years, but their kids are out of RE or whatever, religious education. And now they're like, hi,
Yeah.
I'm ready to be here. And that's been a real blessing. It's been a real blessing. And what the real blessing is that I have some really incredible lay leadership who has created programs that are a place to catch those people.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been, I'm just beyond grateful, because it does feel like the church is changing. I think a lot of churches are changing right now. And I found myself, like, for example, I have memorialized several people who aren't UU, don't want to be UU, but their little church in southern Nebraska, does not have a Zoom account, and is not, their pastor has 4 parishes of elderly people.
Right.
He doesn't know how to get the YouTube sharing thing going. So that's been really interesting to change the reach and get to provide that service for people. That's been a real joy, just to get to people are one woman just had a really different ethnic background than I'm used to. And that was just lovely. But because she's in her little faith community over here, I wouldn't really get a chance to do something as profound as memorialize her and spend time and do that work. But because of the pandemic, I was called upon to do that. And there have been, because now I'm an internet preacher, as many of us are, the reach has changed. So a lot of people are becoming virtual members of the church, which I'm sure other churches than mine who are larger have had that going on for some time. But for us, it's been a real, it's just been really interesting to have people who are in a small group, and they're in New York and we're here, and we're hey, it's nice to see them. Wow. And thinking about how do we, in worship is very well attended, because people can come in their pajamas. They can watch it anytime during the week. So that's something that I think we are going to be figuring out for some time, is how do we, when it happened, bam, church is closed. Somebody pops up and is I can do AV. And it was oh my God, this Sunday, but now we're in this situation where we have to make some real deliberate choices and try to come out of it with 2 types of church, which is in-person and virtual church. So that's going to be quite the task.
Yeah. I was so excited for this conversation, and I feel like I could pick out about 5 different topics and spend an hour on each of them with you. And so I'm I hope you'll forgive me for trying to fit so many big thoughts into the 45 minutes or so we have together. But another one that I wanted to ask you about is LGBTQ plus issues with the church. I use that word issues because of its relationship with the church there. As I mentioned, I was raised in a very conservative situation. If anyone ever set foot in my little church in Texas where I attended who was gay, I didn't know it. You mentioned that your church is LGBTQ friendly. Where do you see the relationship between people who are people of faith who also happen to be gay over the next however many years you want to talk about? Because it feels to me very much like that is the current tide shifter among the church. I went to a Christian university, and I've had conversations with my classmates when they'll post things on Facebook about how they feel about that particular issue now versus how they felt 20 years ago when we were in college. How do you see, where do you see, is it even worth being an important topic, or it should just be accepted of, no, this is how we should do it? Take 2 or 3 minutes or 5 minutes or 20 minutes on that if you want, and just tell me about where you see those two things.
Well, I think like your little church in Texas with the people, that's called being on the DL, being on the, that's
on the down low, right?
That's where that term came from, like just being gay and needing community and needing your God and your spirituality. And so I'm sure there were gay people in your church, you know, whether they were able to admit it or not, or were married to someone of the opposite sex. There are gay people. I mean, we're out here and right. We're like, you know, lovely, interesting, fun, deep thinking people.
Who may also be people of faith, just happen to be.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And I think a lot of the LGBTQ plus community, I mean, are people who really desire and have that deep yearning to be in community, to be in communities of faith and have a church and like have a small group. And if somebody gets sick, they want to know so they can bring them a casserole and like just be a thing, you know, and have that community, because it's so dear and it's so important to be in intergenerational spaces. It's so important to have people asking you hard questions. You know, it's important to have a weekly thing that you get dressed up for, you know, all this stuff. Just church is the best. And I think that, so the idea that like LGBTQ people wouldn't need that is ridiculous. And I think part of what I really want to do at church is create a space where the LGBTQ plus community really feels like I can be safe and I can worship. And UUs in general have always been on this. I mean, we ordained the first woman in mainline Protestant Christianity. We ordained the first openly gay minister. So like gender and sexuality issues, we have a faith-based sexual education program at church that we feel is really fundamental as part of the ministry, that the kids
for children
for lifespan.
Really?
Yep. It's like we worked
built into the UU. This is how we church. This is part of what we do.
Yeah, it's a program called Our Whole Lives that we developed with the UCC denomination, and there's like kindergarten to second grade curriculum, and like I don't know what they do. They like roll around and are like, we have bodies, or I don't know what they do, or you know, like do stuff about like consent or something. And then there's like fourth to fifth.
But it's talked about. It's talked about your body and yourself and from a young age in a church setting.
Yes. And then all the way through the rest of the life. Okay. So I feel very strongly that I'm gay. I should tell you that, as I said earlier.
You mentioned your wife earlier. So I picked up on that.
I'm married to a beautiful woman, and I actually came out from the pulpit.
Really?
Yeah, because when I got to
from yours, where in Shawnee Mission?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I got to the church, and so like sexuality is fluid, right? Like people are, in whatever place they are. And while I was serving the church, I met my wife, and then knowing that like this denomination is very affirming of LGBTQ issues. And I didn't really feel, there was no, I kind of like felt like it was like a little bit like pyrotechnics. Like it was like really like, woohoo, this is fun,
Right.
Knowing that it would be a shock too. People are like, well, that's a big change. And like, well, we kind of got to adjust and all this. But yeah, so we have a big service each year called the Coming Out Day service. And we do a very special ritual that we invite members of the LGBTQ community to come to church. And we also have, LGBTQ members, and we do a laying on of hands. And so I call people forward. So I might say, like, if you identify as gay or lesbian, queer, bi, all the way down to closeted, we invite people to come forward. And then the rest of the congregation lays hands. And then we sing this song that the lyrics are, how could anyone ever tell you you are anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you are less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul.
And the laying on of hands, obviously, is something that I think most people of a faith community are familiar with, likely in very different circumstances. But I have done that. I have had it done to me. That's not a foreign thought, I think, to most people of faith, of that action taken.
Yeah. And it's, it's done. You lay hands on somebody when you really need them to know something, when you really need them to know that they're loved, that they are held, that they can be the center of everyone's energy and blessed.
Yeah.
And it just feels so like we've done it also for people who are actively or have struggled with addiction. We do it for different groups. But this particular service, I mean, there's like not a dry eye in the house.
Sure.
Yeah. We have a member of the gay men's last year, a member of the gay men's chorus came, and he was singing this beautiful song, and then we laid hands on him. And then he was like, I don't think I can sing anymore. Yeah. He was like crying and like so emotional of just having people affirm you in that way in the church, I think is, and I have had people come up to me afterward and say, I was really struggling. I come to this church, but I really struggle with the teachings that I've gotten at my more conservative church about LGBTQ issues. And I haven't really figured out how to incorporate that love like authentically, or I haven't really understood how to be a Christian and be LGBTQ affirming until after the service. They're like, oh, this makes sense. And, I think there's something really radical about being LGBTQ affirming. If you think about like Saint Valentine, who was beheaded for officiating and presiding over weddings that were illegal. Mm-hmm. I think that there's something about being like, you know what, I'm on the side of love,
Yeah. I think, especially coming off that particular topic, it's important to let people know, and I know your time is limited, so we can't talk for too long about that, but it's important to let people know that the UU Church considers, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but the UU Church considers the Bible to be one of many texts that are looked at, that are talked about, that are shared in church services. The Bible is not by any means the only thing that is read, right? So I think most people who listen to these episodes come from a faith community. I would say probably 95% or more are those that come from a Bible-based community like myself. So they're going to have some issues with what you were just describing, more than likely. But it's important to say that your church, it's not just a Bible church, right? There's many different texts and histories that you guys use in your worship services.
Yep. I like to use the Bible because I think it's really an incredible book. Right. So very, very relevant. But yeah, I do a lot of Buddhist teaching, and I do a lot of, I follow the Jewish high holidays too. There's a Jewish group within the congregation. I would only preach about something I knew about. I would never preach about something that I didn't know about. But yeah, there's a long history between Jews and UUs too, just in terms of humanism, and there's a strong line of secular Judaism, and that's very similar to humanism, which is being atheist but wanting to go to church or synagogue.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the last concept I want to ask you about is the idea of no in faith. No, you can't. No, you don't. No, we don't. No, we can't. I think that all the people that we have talked about this morning in this conversation, whether it be people like me who were raised in a church, people like you who were raised in a different kind of church setting, people who were not raised in a church at all, people who are gay, any kind of situation we've talked about this morning, I think has an atheist, even you mentioned, have an idea of faiths being about no's and yeses. What can you guys do? What do you guys do? What can you not do? That kind of thing. I'm curious what you think about the concept of, maybe restraint is a better word, but that boundaries is a great word. Thank you. Of any given faith community, whether it be a typical Protestant situation, yours itself, which it doesn't sound like there are a lot of boundaries in the congregation you're describing there with UU. But for so many people, these are the lines I live in, and I just, that's not even a great question. I didn't even word it well, but I'm just curious your thought on what that is as we wrap up.
So I think it's I think every community puts boundaries or creates laws in good faith and with good intention. This feels like these boundaries are going to, or these precepts or laws are going to support people in, being closer to the divine and being spiritually well and keeping the community healthy and everything. And so I think it just is where you put those boundaries and what you put those boundaries around. So theologically, we don't have very many boundaries because we feel one of our principles is the free and responsible search for truth and meaning. The idea that if you put a goldfish in a bowl, it'll get this big. If you put it in a pond, it'll get, this big.
Yeah.
So that kind of idea. While, giving the religious education program is robust and does a lot of creating your own credo statement and doing a lot of that theological, spiritual work personally and in relationship with others. And I think that's where we, as UUs, do put a really strong boundary, is around relationship with others. So we call ourselves a covenantal religion, meaning that each time that a group of people comes together, we create a covenant, which is how we promise that we will be together. And so let's say a kid's classroom, when they get into the classroom, the first thing they do is they make a covenant. Everyone says, what's important, and they make their little list. And then when somebody does something out of covenant, oh, let's go back to the covenant. This was what we said we were going to use.
We set this up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is the yes and no. Yeah. And then somebody can be you know what, let's go back to the covenant. Let's rewrite it. Okay. We're going to go back and be oh, actually we need to add this stuff in about saying you're sorry or whatever. Or, need to include that people, there can be a reset corner. I don't know, whatever they need to do. And so in that, it's a living tradition. and a living document. So our board has a covenant. We have, ways that we do feel very strongly that there need to be boundaries about how we are to each other. And so that feels really fundamental to us. And there are boundaries around that I feel are very, very strong, because it's very important to me that there be safety in the church, that there be emotional safety, there be accountability, there be a general sense that the way we treat each other is how we do the work. If we don't treat each other well, then,
what are we
doing?
Right.
Are we all here?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I would say about the yeses and nos.
I think that's a great answer. You answered it better than I asked it. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. For anyone who sees this and is interested in coming to your church, learning more about your church, as we wrap up, tell people about how they can take part in UU right now.
Okay. So right now, if you're interested, you can go to Smooch Office on...
I was going to tell people, you see her name pop up on the Zoom. They do say Smooch, and I love that so much. SMUUCH is Smooch, and I love that. So continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So go to SMUUCH Office on YouTube. You can just even Google Smooch, or you could Google Reverend Rose Smooch. And so that would be how you would get connected right now, is just on YouTube. Otherwise, we're located in Old Town Lenexa, and we have, our programming is going, and you can but everything starts on the YouTube. There'll be a little get in touch form and all your little things on the YouTube.
And you guys are all online right now for worship services, right? Still?
Yep. Worship is all online.
Yep.
Yep.
Reverend Rose, I can't thank you enough for your time today. This was a really, really great conversation. I really appreciate your time and your insight. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been so nice talking to you and getting to know you too.